From the second the broadcast went live, the balance tilted when Cameron and Mace steered the spotlight straight onto Jim Jones, and the tone made it clear this wasn't small talk.
I was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan, nigga. A fan. So you can sit around and act like you've been around all this Harlem and everything. You ever see somebody from Harlem try to act like they from Harlem so bad that you got to keep saying, I'm from Harlem? From Harlem, know who's from Harlem. You don't have to keep...
The tone felt controlled but tense, like two people who had been holding things back finally decided it was time to speak with no filters. Cameron came in relaxed but sharp, pacing his words like he already knew where the conversation was headed. Mace followed with calm precision, stacking points instead of chasing reactions. In live media, pacing is power, and from the jump, they owned it.
Mace taught me how to rap, and Cam always made sure I was on every single album he had. He was like, boy, once you figure out how to rap the same way you act in these streets, it's gonna work for you. Just keep going. And that's all so I always gotta give credit to where credit is due and shit like that. It would be no Jim Jones.
This shit ain't no game. They can't play with me too much. I give them the floor to do that because that serves me no purpose. I got too much to do.
Jim Jones stepped into the space expecting a conversation, maybe even a debate, but what unfolded felt more like a pressure chamber. Every response he gave opened up another angle, another line of questioning that forced him to explain instead of attack. That's dangerous territory live on air. There's no pause button, no time to regroup, no chance to clean things up later. Cam's sarcasm landed quietly but deep, while Mace's smooth delivery carried authority without aggression. Together, they created a two-front dynamic that kept Jim reacting instead of leading. What made this moment sting wasn't insults or yelling, it was exposure. Cam and Mace didn't accuse, they framed, they brought up history, positioning, and credibility in a way that forced Jim to either defend or redirect. In hip-hop, being forced into defense is already a loss. Defense suggests imbalance, and imbalance shows fast when cameras are rolling.
Yeah, listen, man. Listen. You were fanned out and you begged to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in. Mace actually taught you how to rap. Literally. He taught you how to rap.
Mace taught me how to rap.
You say it. We taught you how to rap. How you ran the whole organization. How you made Diplomat. Yeah, you ain't make none of this stuff. You was a fan. That's how you got down originally. Period. I heard the new shit you did. Yo, you want to come through? Come through. Why? Why are we going to Jomo's house? So yeah, I would bring some bitches over there sometime.
The audience felt it immediately. The energy in the room changed. Viewers watching live could sense that this wasn't playful banter. This felt like long-standing tension finally being addressed without edits or protection. Cam looked comfortable, almost amused, like someone who had rehearsed this moment mentally for years. Mace stayed composed, never rushing, never raising his voice, which made every word hit harder. Once momentum swung, it never came back. Live moments don't forgive hesitation, and hesitation showed. The streets clocked it in real time, and once they clock it, the narrative locks in.
What was your reaction when Cameron brought up all these old stories and everything about you?
I laugh, man. I got this thing, man. People laugh at the lies, but the truth always hurt. You know, lies are more entertaining. You heard? You get to laugh, you get the joke, but the truth is a serious thing, no matter how you look at it. The truth is what the truth is.
As the exchange continued, the contrast between the sides became impossible to ignore. Cameron and Mace stayed loose, confident, and measured, while Jim Jones sounded increasingly tense, like he was constantly chasing the rhythm of the conversation instead of setting it. That difference alone decided the room. In live settings, calm energy dominates chaotic energy every single time. The streets understand that instinctively. Cam weaponized humor without ever sounding disrespectful. His jokes weren't loud, they were surgical. A smirk here, a quick line there, and suddenly the pressure increased without a single insult being thrown. Humor and confrontation disarms defenses because it forces reactions instead of responses. Mace balanced that energy perfectly, adding credibility and insider perspective that didn't feel emotional or bitter. It felt settled. That's dangerous. Settled voices don't need validation.
Every nigga that put hands on you or you get to take you cool with them. You tried to chase French Montana out the game, that ain't work out. Y'all got cool. So cool that you go to his video shoot pardon me, not his video show, his movie. You're sitting in the crowd watching the premiere, and they dissing you in the movie. You in the movie getting dissed, you gotta eat it, just sitting in the crowd. Nah, they dissing you in the movie that you went to go see, bro. Every nigga that do something to put pressure on you, you sit there and work it out. But when they got a little genuine heart for you and all that, cool, that's the pattern. If they don't put hands on you, then you can keep going on and on and on. But the niggas who do this, you cool with, and then you try to handle it sophisticatedly, you keep going on and on like niggas give a f about all that shit, bro. So, niggas don't care about none of that shit, man. Niggas don't care a little bit, man. What I'll finish with is this, man. I'm never here to downplay your character. As much as you try to degrade my character for years and push me under the bus and say, I ain't start this and I ain't do that, and you started Pink and you made the Diplomats, which is just... Do you ever hear me talk about when you ran on me when BMF pulled up? When you ran in the hotel, they chased you to the beach. Yeah, they chased you to the beach, you was in the sand. You was getting wet from the water, from the ocean. I don't pump that. I don't pump all that shit because I ain't trying to make the great your character. You know why? Because the revolution was televised. That's why I'm here. That's why God work like that. That's why me and Murder is here. The revolution.
Jim tried to regain footing, but each attempt created another opening. That's the trap of live conversation. Once the flow is controlled by someone else, every word you say becomes material. Cam and Mace rotated seamlessly, never stepping on each other, never overlapping, always picking up exactly where the other left off. That coordination overwhelmed the moment. It didn't feel accidental. It felt like chemistry built over years. The audience reaction poured in immediately. Viewers weren't just reacting to what was said, but how it was said. Tone, pauses, body language, hesitation, all of it became part of the story. Once hesitation shows on live air, perception shifts fast. Jim wasn't losing on content. He was losing on composure. This wasn't about humiliation for entertainment. It was about control. Cam and Mace framed the conversation around legacy, ownership of narrative, and respect. That framing forced Jim into a defensive posture, and defensive postures rarely win public rooms. In hip-hop, the streets don't judge debates by transcripts, they judge by command. Command stayed with Cam and Mace from start to finish, and once that's established, there's no reversing it live.
You know, the internet gets kind of crazy with the lies. The lies be going crazy on the internet.
I mean, well, the lies start from a narrative, and the narrative starts from a person, and you just got to look at it like that. But I've never been one in my life to care about clearing up no rumors. Like that just takes time out of my day from making money. I know who I am. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I stand 10 toes down on everything I believe in. I don't change my pivot, and everybody knows that. I mean, as you can see, I would not be here if I did anything else but be me.
Stop tricking out their freedom, bro. This is gonna be the last time I address this. Whatever you got to say after this, good luck. I wish you luck. I got other shit to do. This is not on my motherfucking plate. Believe what you want to believe, because I got other things to do. You feel me, Murder? I ain't want to snap one of them nose, but yeah, I'm good.
Here goes some popcorn stat.
Once the clips started spreading, the culture quickly realized this moment wasn't powerful because of shock value, but because of structure. Everything about it was clean, measured, and intentional. Live platforms strip away safety nets. No edits, no damage control. Cameron and Mace understood that and leaned into it fully. They controlled pace, spacing, and pressure without ever sounding rushed. History played a major role. Old alliances, old tensions, unresolved pride, all collided in real time. But instead of letting emotion drive the exchange, Cam and Mace stayed grounded. That grounding magnified Jim's frustration. Viewers rewatched the footage, searching for a momentum shift, a comeback moment, a reset. It never came. Every attempt to reset the room was met with another redirect. That's how live pacing suffocates even strong voices.
Cam and Jim history go back before me. You understand what I'm saying? When I met Cam and Jim, they were super close. So I honestly don't really know Jim being from the Bronx and all that. You know what I'm saying? When I met them, they was in 5H, which is, you know what I'm saying, Jim's apartment, and that's, you know, like, I guess that time was after all the stuff Cam had said already with the Children of the Corn and Jim whatever he said. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, when I got there, Cam and Jim was like this, super tight. Mace wasn't even in the picture. I don't know Mace like that. You know what I'm saying? Every time I seen Mace, it's been a mutual, you know what I'm saying, respect there. So, that's what that's been as far as me and Mace. You know what I'm saying? As far as, when I met Cam and Jim, they were already Trump tight and locked in. You understand what I'm saying? The Diplomats was already a name they had. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit there and claim I made the dip, so that's not something I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I made Dipset though, the two. Yeah, I did that. You know what I'm saying?
Chemistry did most of the damage. Cam and Mace didn't just agree with each other. They anticipated. Anticipation removes reaction time. Reaction time is everything in live media. The streets respect chemistry because it reads as authenticity, not performance. Jim didn't look attacked. He looked isolated, and isolation hits harder than insults. This exchange became a textbook example of how dominance doesn't require chaos. There were no threats, no shouting, no dramatic interruptions, just positioning, precision, control. That's why people called it brutal. Brutality doesn't have to be loud, it just has to be exact. Once the culture recognized that, the clip became a reference point, not a meme, a lesson. Preparation beat urgency, calm beat emotion, timing beat volume. By the time reactions settled, the outcome was already archived. Cam and Mace seized the moment. Jim couldn't flip it on the clock, and live air never waits for anyone.
Was at Jim album release party, and everybody was over there with Jim, and Cam is standing over here with like 3 or 4 people just looking on and couldn't believe that Jim is the guy. There's no Dipset without Jim. Jim is the gangbanger of the crew. Cam is not a blood. I don't even know if Joel's was. I doubt Freaky was, right? But the set, it comes from the gang, right? All the gang all ran under Jim.
Right.
All of the muscle was Jim. That wasn't Cam. You know what I'm saying?
Cam was like the JV.
Cam was the artist. Jim and Cam were partners, so to speak. But Jim took the role of being the underboss, the muscle, to make sure that Cam could function and move around and not have a bad reputation or be getting robbed and all this other stuff. So Jim put he stood front line for anything in regards to Cam, and then he put Dipset in front of Cam. The wedge that came between Cam and Jim is Jim's success. Cam always looked at him as being the star, Jim being capo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
After everything settled, the culture treated this moment as a marker rather than a meltdown. No careers ended, but the balance of perception shifted publicly, and perception moves fast in hip-hop. Cameron and Mace walked away looking aligned, confident, and in control. Jim Jones walked away looking unsettled. That image sticks longer than explanations. This exchange reinforced a hard truth about live platforms. They reward composure and punish urgency. Cam and Mace played position from start to finish. Jim played defense. Defense rarely wins rooms, especially when the crowd senses pressure. The streets didn't celebrate embarrassment. They acknowledged control of tone, control of pace, control of framing. That's why the clip keeps circulating. It teaches without lecturing. Live moments like this outlive projects, interviews, and statements. They become reference points. Any future debate around these names will bring this clip back into the conversation. That's the cost of live air. Once something happens in real time, it becomes permanent. There's no rewrite. No context added later can fully undo what people saw and felt in the moment. The streets trust instinct more than explanation. This situation also showed that respect in hip-hop isn't just about history. It's about how you move under pressure. Pressure reveals posture, posture reveals confidence, and confidence determines who controls the room. That's why this moment won't fade quietly. It wasn't messy, it wasn't chaotic, it was controlled, and controlled moments always hit harder than loud ones.